At this point, they are still going to be a playoff team unless they just completely fall apart over these past couple games. But now the question becomes, can they win a playoff series with or without Caitlin? Because you assume that they're shutting her down with the hopes that she could play in a playoff series if they make it. Martin, do you think the Fever can win a playoff series this year?
I'm starting to feel like they're not bringing Caitlin back at all. I think the Sophie Cunningham, I feel like with Sophie done for the season, I hate to accuse them of feeling like it's a wash of a season, because I mean they've done some good things. There are things to point to that they did well this season, and of course the kind of coach they have, the kind of identity that they've established, they're going to compete. But I feel like with so many players out for the season, with them losing depth, right? I don't think they just bring Caitlin back. The only way I saw them like getting Caitlin back ready for the playoffs was if, because where they were like a few weeks ago, where they were beating teams we didn't think they maybe could beat without Caitlin, when they were really in strong stand. That was the version of the team that I felt like, okay, they might be ramping this up to then bring back Caitlin right before the playoffs and let's go in fully healthy. Not being fully healthy, I think that puts too much pressure and onus on Caitlin to come back at such a level that helps them even compete to win a series. It could lead to, I mean, you don't want to bring her back into that. I don't think they would want to bring her back into that kind of atmosphere where she's got to come in flame throwing right away just to help them win a series. So I think they can be competitive. You just threw out their matchup. If the playoffs were today, they'd be playing Vegas in the first round. I would not pick them in that series without Caitlin. So I mean, I think it's become, I think it's become kind of an interesting story. Not to bring Paige into this, but just to juxtapose the concept of like, we had talked about the Paige and Caitlin thing recently, and you're one of the people who feels like Paige has been better than Caitlin. And because of her injuries in college, she kind of lost out on the chance to really prove that on a national scale. And we talked about that on an episode recently. It's crazy how the script has kind of flipped now. Paige is having a historic rookie year, just put up 44, broke the rookie record for scoring in a game. Everyone's marveling over Paige right now, as they should, while Caitlin is out and she can't even fend for herself. So now the Paige energy is ramping up, and with Caitlin out, her energy and momentum is, I don't want to say dying down, but it just hasn't been as active. So I just think where Indiana is now, I feel like they're just going to, ride it out, let Kelsey Mitchell keep cooking, see what they can do in the play, look to compete. But I feel like now they're not going to bring Caitlin back. I think they're looking towards next year. It's like, okay, we're not going to rush this thing. We've got Caitlin. Let's just keep progressing, moving forward. Again, not to say this season was a wash, but I don't think they're going for it anymore. I'm at the point, like the Sophie Cunningham injury, I was thinking about it. I'm like, they're not just going to bring Caitlin back just to I think that's too much pressure. I think that's too much onus on her to just bring her back for the playoffs now.
That's fair. I am one of the very few sports fans out there that do believe that when it comes to playoff time, teams win or lose games on purpose to make their matchup more friendly. I do think that exists. I do think right now, looking at where the Fever are right now and kind of how the playoff picture is shaping up, I think the Fever's best chance of making it out of the first round is to play the Atlanta Dream, which means either the Dream have to drop to 3 or the Fever need to drop down to 7. I think if the first round playoff matchup ends up being Indiana and Atlanta, I wouldn't be surprised if Caitlin Clark steps foot on a basketball court for that series, because that, in my opinion, is a winnable series for the Fever with Caitlin Clark. It's certainly not without her, but it is with her. Either way, I don't think they will for the reasons you mentioned. They've just lost so much. Ari McDonald was their backup point guard. She's not going to be available for them anymore. Sophia Cunningham was, I guess, their enforcer or whatever their role was for her, but she was contributing to the team. She's not available either. That being said, though, I'm honestly not too concerned about that because Kelsey Mitchell's been playing great. She just dropped almost 40 the other night. right? Aaliyah Boston has been like the team outside of those that have went down has been playing really well.
They've
I
shown
think
real
whether
grit.
they have,
They've shown some real grit.
I think whether or not we see Caitlin play basketball, playoff basketball specifically, will depend on what their matchup is. And I think if the Fever believe that they have a winnable matchup with Caitlin, they'll have Caitlin play basketball. Now, I don't think they'll just throw her out there first game of the series, right? They have a couple of games coming up down the stretch of their season where maybe you look at it and you say, maybe they'll probably throw her out there. If they think they've got a shot, maybe they'll put her out there against Golden State or put out there against Chicago or put out there against Washington. Those are 3 of their last couple games down the stretch of the season to get her ramped up, get her back up to game speed, back into game, before they just put her out there for the playoffs. But that would really be the only way I could actually envision Caitlin Clark coming back this season, would be if the Fever believe they have a winnable matchup with Caitlin. And I think the only matchup they think could possibly be winnable based on where they're at right now is the Dream. They wouldn't be able to beat the Liberty with Caitlin, and I don't think they'd be able to beat the Mercury with Caitlin either. And so it'd have to be, I don't think they're going to beat they're definitely not going to beat Minnesota, and they're not going to beat the Aces. So they have to be targeting specifically trying to get a matchup with the Dream, because those games this season between the Fever and the Dream have been tightly contested with and without her. They have been tightly contested games. So that's why I'm saying that would be the series where they say, maybe we bring Caitlin back for this and then see how the rest of the playoffs go.
Yeah, so a good point made in the comment about the Commissioner's Cup. Like, again, the Fever have shown real grit, and they've shown they can win games against good. That was against Minnesota. They beat Minnesota in that game without Caitlin.
Yeah.
The thing to obviously keep in mind and remember is that playoffs are multi-game series. Commissioner's Cup is one game. Yeah. That's what I always tell my football friends. I'm like, guys, it's one game, and I wish basketball playoffs were like that. I'm like, man, it's multi-games. Like back when I was really covering the league and stuff, it was exhausting to have to cover and talk about multiple games and cut like one game, one and done. Like I prefer that. That's why I'm college over pro, because I like the March Madness. Show up, play your best for one game, move to the next. Like a multi-game.
There is no tomorrow.
Multi-game playoff series create too many variables. Every game is its own different series. So that's where longevity and depth come into play when you're talking about winning a playoff series. So I give Indiana a lot of credit. They still have a couple talented players, and they've shown real grit without Caitlin. It's just that in a multi-game series, that's where you would need your flamethrower. You need your Caitlin Clark for, to really compete in those kind of series.
I agree. To answer this question, if the number one Minnesota team couldn't beat Atlanta, what makes you think Indiana could, even with Caitlin Clark? The Indiana Fever and the Atlanta Dream have played 4 games of this series this season. The Fever have won twice. Both games Caitlin Clark played. So it's not like a complete like a wash. I don't think. I think Atlanta's been a really good team this season, but I think that's the series of all the possibilities. That's the team based on what they did in the regular season. That's the team where the Fever, in my opinion, would say, let's bring Caitlin back against Atlanta because we can beat them. They're 2-2 this series. So it's 1-2 in a game of 3 for the first round. I don't think that's nearly as far. Like, that's not out of the realm of possibility, in my opinion, because I believe in sports conspiracy theories, and I do think some teams do what they need to do down the stretch to get themselves some favorable playoff matchups.
Yeah, and I don't think Atlanta they're good, but they're not like unbeatable. It's just that kind of fact too. It's like Atlanta's good, but Indiana's good too. So 2 good teams, it's kind of up in the air at that point.